For more than 12 years, the world watched quietly as one of Hollywood's most adored actors and his only daughter drifted further apart. What looked like a dream from the outside slowly transformed into a painful silence no one dared to question. Now that silence has finally cracked open, revealing a truth far more emotional than anyone expected. The girl once photographed beside flashing cameras is now a young woman choosing her own path. Her decisions speak louder than any interview she never gave. At 19, she carries the weight of a story shaped by choices that were never hers. Born into global fame, raised under rules she never understood, she learned early what distance feels like. And as she steps into adulthood, the world sees a message written not in words but in courage. This is the story of a daughter who grew up watching her father from a distance, and a man who watched her slip out of his world. The dream began like a movie, the kind people replay again and again because it seems too perfect to be real. When superstar actor Adrian Lake and rising actress Emily Hart met in 2006, headlines erupted instantly. Emily was 26, glowing with new success and a soft innocence that audiences adored. Adrian, at 43, was already a legend, an actor whose name alone filled theaters. Their chemistry was undeniable, the kind that made tabloids explode and fans swoon. They were photographed in Rome, laughing like teenagers untouched by fame. Adrian, usually private and composed, suddenly became a man overwhelmed by love. People watched in fascination as he changed before their eyes. And then came the moment that would forever define their whirlwind romance. Adrian appeared on the biggest talk show in America and did something no one expected. He jumped on the host's couch, shouting about how deeply in love he was. Some found it romantic, others thought it was strange, but one thing was certain: no one could look away. The moment went viral, was even a trend. Fans saw a man who had spent decades hiding behind roles suddenly show raw emotion. Critics called it dramatic, but supporters said it was refreshing. Emily watched it all from backstage, overwhelmed but touched. The world knew their love story was intense, wild, and unstoppable. And soon, their lives would change even more. On April 19, 2007, their daughter Luna Hartlake was born. She became the symbol of their fairy tale turned reality, small, beautiful, and instantly famous. Adrian described the day as the happiest moment of his life. He talked about Luna in every interview, calling her extraordinary, calling her a miracle. But even miracles can be shaped by forces bigger than they understand. Adrian lived by a belief system that demanded discipline, silence, and absolute loyalty. Emily, raised in a quiet Midwest family, suddenly found herself navigating a world she had never imagined. A world where privacy didn't exist, and expectations were carved in stone. And for Luna, it was the beginning of a childhood unlike any of. To the public, Adrian, Emily, and baby Luna were the perfect Hollywood family. Red carpets, magazine covers, and glamorous interviews painted a picture of harmony. But behind those bright lights, small cracks began to form. Friends noticed Emily rarely appeared alone, always surrounded by Adrian's close advisors. They were polite but watchful, always a few steps behind her wherever she went. Even casual outings felt monitored. Emily tried to smile through it, but her eyes slowly dimmed. She began speaking less freely, choosing words carefully. The pressures of fame were one thing, but the pressure at home was something else entirely. Emily's parents visited less often, worried by the unfamiliar world surrounding their daughter. They wondered if she was truly happy or simply trying to be. Adrian's belief community grew more deeply involved in his life, guiding decisions, schedules, and even parenting philosophies. Emily felt herself drifting further from who she once was. She missed having control over her own choices. She missed feeling like she belonged somewhere. Meanwhile, Adrian saw nothing unusual. He believed everything he did was for their family's success. The two of them began living in different emotional worlds. And little by little, Luna felt the distance even as a toddler. By 2010, those cracks grew wide enough for people around them to notice. Emily appeared tense, cautious, and disconnected. She avoided certain events and kept conversations short. Paparazzi shots showed her holding Luna tightly, shielding her face from cameras. Rumors spread that Emily felt trapped and overwhelmed. She started spending more time in New York, far from Adrian's circle. She reached out to old friends, seeking comfort in familiar voices. Behind closed doors, she began planning something no one expected. Something that required courage, strategy, and secrecy. Something that would change every life involved. June 30, 2012. The world woke up to breaking news that shook Hollywood. Emily Hart had filed for divorce from Adrian Lake. The announcement came out of nowhere, catching fans, reporters, and even Adrian himself off guard. He was filming overseas when the news broke. He learned about it through headlines, just like everyone else. The timing was deliberate, careful, and perfectly calculated. Emily had prepared for months, moving quietly without raising suspicion. She had changed phones, hired new security, and shifted her inner circle. Her goal was simple: protect her daughter. Emily's father, a seasoned lawyer, became her secret strategist. Together, they created a plan that allowed her to seek full custody of Luna. They chose New York instead of California, knowing the laws there were different. Emily filed the papers quickly and quietly. The world erupted in speculation. Why would Emily leave so suddenly? Insiders whispered about pressure, control, and fear. But Emily stayed silent, refusing to turn the divorce into a spectacle. Her only concern was Luna's safety, stability, and future. And in less than 2 weeks, the divorce was finalized. Adrian agreed to financial support, schooling expenses, and medical costs. But the real agreement was something else: distance. Emily and Luna disappeared from Los Angeles almost immediately. They were next seen walking in Manhattan, hand in hand, without security or advisors trailing them. Emily looked tired but relieved. Luna seemed curious about this new world she had never experienced. For the first time, their lives belonged to them. It was the beginning of a chapter where freedom mattered more than fame. In the months that followed, Luna adjusted to a quieter life. Emily enrolled her in a small private school where no one treated her like a celebrity's child. Paparazzi gradually lost interest. Luna went to dance classes, parks, libraries, and after-school programs. Emily poured herself into motherhood, determined not to let her daughter feel the absence of normalcy. Meanwhile, Adrian dove deeper into his work. Movie sets, promotional tours, and global premieres filled every corner of his life. But something had changed deep inside him, something he rarely allowed himself to think about. Years passed, and Luna grew into a quiet, observant child who understood more than she spoke. She rarely asked about her father, though his name floated through magazines and screens around her. Emily tried to answer gently whenever Luna grew curious. She told her stories about his kindness without opening old wounds. Even so, Luna sensed the unspoken truth in her mother's careful tone. She learned early how to build strength from silence. She found comfort in art, music, and the freedom of walking through the city like any other girl. And slowly, she built a life that felt truly hers. Meanwhile, Adrian's life unfolded on the world stage. Every film became a blockbuster, every stunt went viral, every project pushed the limits of what actors could do. But behind the scenes, those who knew him well sensed a quiet ache. He never spoke about Luna in interviews, not even when journalists tried to steer the conversation toward fatherhood. His team avoided the topic entirely, protecting him from questions he wasn't ready to face. Success became both his shield and his escape. He soared professionally, but emotionally, he drifted farther from the one person he once called his miracle. By the time Luna turned 15, she began carving her own path. She fell in love with fashion and storytelling, often sketching late into the night. Emily encouraged her creativity, amazed by the detail and feeling in each design. Luna's teachers described her as gifted, mature, and deeply introspective. She made friends who didn't care about her last name or who she was related to. They only knew the girl who stayed late after class, sewing patterns and laughing loudly at her own mistakes. For the first time, she felt her life wasn't shaped by someone else's legacy. It was shaped by her own hands. At 17, Luna auditioned for a prestigious performing arts high school in New York. She performed a monologue and presented a small portfolio of designs she had stitched together. The judges loved her confidence and originality. When the acceptance letter arrived, Emily cried tears of pride. Luna felt her world expanding beyond the shadows of her childhood. She began meeting mentors, studying late, and finding inspiration in unexpected places. For the first time, she felt seen for who she was, not for who her father used to be. It was a freedom she cherished deeply. One day, Luna made a decision that symbolized her new identity. She changed her name to Luna Hart, removing her father's last name entirely. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. She wanted a name that matched the person she was becoming. Emily supported her quietly, knowing the choice carried years of unspoken emotions. When Luna's new name appeared in the school playbill, her classmates cheered for her. It was a moment of independence, a step toward her own self-defined future. And though she didn't say it aloud, Luna felt a lightness she had never felt before. Graduation day arrived with summer sunlight and a sense of victory. Emily stood among the other parents, recording every second with trembling hands. Luna walked across the stage, confident and radiant. Her friends clapped loudly, calling her name from the audience. When her diploma read Luna Hart, she felt the final thread of her old identity loosen. Adrian was not there, he was thousands of miles away filming a new action film. But Luna didn't let the absence overshadow her moment. This day was hers, entirely and undeniably. Later that year, Luna was accepted into Hartwell University, a top-ranking fashion and design school. She moved into her dorm with Emily's help, stacking sketchbooks and fabrics on her desk. There was no entourage, no red carpet, no special treatment, just a mother and daughter building a new chapter together. Luna felt nervous but excited, ready to step into adulthood. Emily hugged her tightly before leaving, whispering that she believed in her. When the dorm door closed, Luna smiled at the quiet space she now called home. It was the start of a life she chose for herself. College life transformed Luna in ways she never expected. She met students from all over the world, each with their own dreams and struggles. She spent nights working on designs, often forgetting to sleep. Professors noticed her dedication and encouraged her to push her creativity further. Luna joined student shows, internships, and late-night study groups. For the first time, she felt part of a community that saw her pure talent, nothing more, nothing less. She no longer carried the weight of her past everywhere she went. She carried only the fire of her future. But life has a way of confronting unresolved emotions. One evening, Luna passed a poster advertising her father's newest film. She stopped, staring at his face on the display. The world still adored him, still cheered for him, still believed in the story he showed on screen. Luna felt a strange mix of pride and distance. She wondered if he ever thought about her. If he remembered the sound of her laughter as a baby. If he regretted the silence that grew between them. She walked away quietly, unsure whether those questions would ever find an answer. In the fall of her sophomore year, something unexpected happened. Luna's friend invited her to an independent film festival where young designers showcased costumes. Luna submitted a few of her pieces, shy but hopeful. To her surprise, the judges loved her work. They called her designs bold, emotional, and deeply authentic. The applause that followed felt different from any praise she'd received before. It wasn't about her family name. It wasn't about her past. It was about the woman she had become. And for the first time, Luna felt truly unstoppable. Paragraph 22. Yet even as she rose, old emotions lingered beneath the surface. One October afternoon, Luna sat on a city stairway, overwhelmed by a wave of exhaustion in memories. College pressures, personal questions, and unresolved feelings collided all at once. She lowered her head into her hands, trying to steady her breath. Moments later, Emily arrived, having sensed something was wrong. She sat beside her daughter silently, offering comfort without asking questions. Luna leaned into her, grateful for the one constant person in her life. Sometimes, love isn't loud, it's steady. Paragraph 23. Across the country, Adrian was preparing for a groundbreaking film project. Rumors said he would be the first actor to shoot scenes beyond Earth. Fans cheered, the industry buzzed, and news outlets exploded with excitement. Adrian stood on stages, smiling, confident, and proud. But beneath the spotlight, he carried an unspoken sadness. His team occasionally noticed him staring at old photos of Luna. They never asked questions. Adrian had built a life of discipline, distance, and control. But control couldn't erase the ache of a missing connection. Luna didn't know whether she wanted to reconnect. Part of her wondered what her father would say if they ever met again. Would he apologize? Would he explain? Would he even recognize the woman she had become? Another part of her feared reopening old wounds. Silence had protected her for so long. But healing requires courage, and she wasn't sure she had it yet. For now, she focused on school, friendships, and her growing career. The future felt wide open, but the past remained a closed door she wasn't ready to unlock. Today, Luna Hart stands on the edge of adulthood, strong, talented, and beautifully independent. She writes her own story with every choice she makes, one built on resilience, not wounds. Emily watches with pride, grateful for every moment they survived together. Adrian continues to chase dreams that stretch far beyond Hollywood. 3 lives woven together by love, distance, and silence. The question remains, will time ever bring them back to the same path? Or is their separation the final chapter of a story once filled with promise? Only the future holds the answer. And until then, Luna walks forward, carrying only what she chooses, not what history forced upon her.